Okay, this is Pops at Legal Reform. Okay, I put a post on my Facebook, and most people don't pay attention to me anyways, not on my Facebook. But see, I just made on one of my TikTok videos, ethics violations and where to file. So if they violate the rule of professional conduct, those are multiple ethics violations. And I show you on the internet where to find the ethics, code of ethics, and where to file. Okay. But what I put here, I threw together a few laws. Okay, got quite a few views, and to be honest, when I read the law, I sound like a preacher. I know a lot of times I do, but, you know, it's what I do. I literally read it word for word to the letter. Interpreting the law, it's a requirement called the letter of the law. Any misinformation, rewording of any written contract is disinformation and is illegal. Disinformation, look that up. Okay, it's binding, unconditional, non-negotiable. And it is. If you look up the oath, and it'll tell you it's unconditional. The oath is unconditional. When you take an oath to the Constitution, it's unconditional. You know, you have to go by the basic obligations of public service. Look that up. Basic obligations of public service. I'm going to do a video on that too. Okay, so any misinformation, rewording of any written contract is disinformation, is illegal. It's binding, unconditional, and non-negotiable. Spirit of the law, which is a law. Let's just say that's when it's what's in the public interest, which is a law creating laws. So when any law written must be in the public interest, not in the interest of the bar or of parochial interest or the interest of a religion, church, etc. And we'll go on. So spirit of the law, I'll just say what's in the public interest, which is a law creating laws, doing what's in the public interest, maintaining the public trust. And I told you before, the legal system, the courts, judges, lawyers, the ABA, your state bar association, that's all part of the public trust, okay? So you have to read the public trust doctrine, understand the public trust is a trust fund for we the people, okay? And that's part of our trust fund. And how are they maintaining it? They're not going by the law, they're going by thoughts and feelings, and they're putting the needs of the few above the needs of the many. And the Constitution was written in the needs of the many, not the needs of the few. When you take an oath to the Constitution, you take an oath to we, the people. You know, you took an oath of servitude. I'm sorry, I'm not talking to you. Just sometimes politicians, lawyers, they can't stand me. I got a lot of threats. Managed to talk to a few judges. I went to talk to one in divorce court about child custody and trying to get custody of these children, and the parents weren't going to give them up. I knew that. And I wasn't a family member. They weren't going to give me guardianship, nothing, no, you know. So, but the judge was very influential in keeping me going in what I do, teaching people what I know. Okay, maintaining the public trust is mandatory. So says the public trust doctrine. Okay, so read the public trust doctrine. The preamble on the rules of professional conduct demands every law be in the public interest and not in the interest of the bar or parochial interest. Makes you think I put overthinking. Overturning Roe versus Wade was possibly legal. What happened was under the color of law. And look up that term, under the color of law. It's against the law to do that, but that's what you're living with. It's a term called under the color of law. That's what you're living with. Okay, look it up. It's illegal. And I'm going to get into another video showing you exactly where to file charges for a conspiracy to deprive rights under the color of law. Look that up, a conspiracy to deprive rights under the color of law. It's very interesting, very good read. You know, I've been kind of preaching about that since I first read the Rules of Professional Conduct back in the 1979 revision. It was in 1975 when I first read it. It was just revised. I found it, and it drove me to the Code of Judicial Conduct and, you know, the Declaration of Independence. When I read that got me into where these ideals started, which was basically around the world. In Europe, it's called the Magna Carta. That's the history of the rule of law, and which clearly states the rule of law quash qualified immunity. So qualified immunity can't exist if the rule of law does, and if qualified immunity does exist, the rule of law doesn't, and that's how you wound up with a two-tiered justice system. Just look at the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence. What do they have in common? Where it says, "We the people." Okay. You know, how about where it says, "Every man endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness." You know that isn't happening. I mean, it's been forever for this country living under the rule of law. In the beginning, it started because most people were illiterate, and they counted on the literates' interpretation of the rule of law. And it's more than obvious that their interpretation was under the color of law. And then they created more laws under the color of law that violated the rule of law. And it's just that people, you aren't illiterate, you got the advantage of the internet. All I had in my day was the Dewey Decimal System, and it wasn't easy. Not all libraries have law books in them. You had to go to specific law libraries, and they weren't around, and you had to go to college to be a lawyer, and they didn't like me coming there to read their books because I didn't go there. And, you know, I didn't have the money. I couldn't afford it. But everywhere and anywhere I could manage to go to get my hands on the information I thought I needed to see to it that my life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness was never put in jeopardy again. And it was. And the only reason anything was taken from me, it was taken under the color of law. And that's what I want you to understand. Okay, what happened to me happened to you. What happened to me happened to me. What they took from one, they took from all. You know, that's your constitutional rights, your civil rights, your human rights, and as a United States citizen, your birthrights. These are your birthrights. Remember when you took Pledge of Allegiance, you didn't pledge allegiance to the flag, you pledged allegiance to what the flag stood for, the United States Constitution. And remember, any state, any law repugnant to the United States Constitution is null and void. That was established by the U.S. Supreme Court, and if I'm correct, it was Thurgood Marshall that wrote the decision. So I'm just doing my best to get you to look up the laws and use them. That's what legal reform is about. Teaching you about the conspiracy to deprive rights under the color of law. If I get enough help, get enough people filing, doing the right thing, using all the laws, all laws should matter. All laws should be enforced. I've seen people who suffer consequences during protests, minus a probable cause hearing. Definitely no probable cause hearing. That's ineffective assistance of counsel. Did the state's attorney say anything? No. So that's prosecutorial misconduct. Did the judge even tell the kid, hey, listen, let's find out what went on, and we're going to have a probable cause hearing? like that wonderful judge in Texas. You know, he clearly stated, hold on, kid, we're going to have a probable cause hearing. And they did, and the charges were dismissed. He told the kid, be careful, watch out, you know. It's like this. It's always been like this. You got to watch your back, you know. So, but that's judicial misconduct if the judge doesn't even bring it up. But then again, not bringing it up not only violates the rules of professional conduct, code of judicial conduct, because reporting misconduct is mandatory in both the rules and the codes. So basically everybody was supposed to report each other for all such violations, and nobody did. That's why everybody's still practicing law. And when you violate those rules and codes, you violate your constitutional obligations. When you took an oath to the U.S. Constitution, you took an oath to be effective assistance of counsel, and those guidelines are set forth in the rules of professional conduct and the code of judicial conduct. Failure to do so requires mandatory fines, removal from said public service, and incarceration. That's the law. All right, people, I just wanted to give you a short one real quick to let you know what I was up to, who I've been battling for so many years. I used to move around a lot, and some people thought awkward things. I don't know, maybe because I was Mexican, you know, that off-grid life. But no, it was just because I couldn't sit still so somebody could easily find me because of the paperwork I was filing. And nobody I knew understood what I was doing. It wasn't until I talked to my dad and I had a lawsuit. I actually called his lawyer. I gave my dad a copy of the Rules of Professional Conduct. First time he read it, first time he seen it. His English verbal skills were poor, but his reading comprehension was phenomenal. He understood it the first time he read it. While he was reading it, he was screaming, yelling. English is his second language, so he wound up cussing everybody out in Spanish. And I went over the Rules of Professional Conduct, you know, with the lawyer, advised him to file separation of judgment and motion to vacate. And he asked why. I said, because nothing can be proven. I said, to go over the hospital reports, police reports. And I said, somebody's been pushing this snowball uphill for a long time. I said, when they kick it downhill, you don't want to be part of what it catches coming down. So he did, and about 2 weeks later, his case was thrown out. I was still fighting my side on a pro se. I was the opposing party. When the lawyer asked who I was, I said the opposing party. And as you well know, in fairness to the opposing party, I am legally required, you know, to issue discovery to the opposing party. He says, no, that comes to me first. I know. I said, no, the rules of professional conduct clearly state opposing party and counsel. You are assistants of counsel, are you or are you not counselor? That's the term for, it's not actually lawyer or attorney, it's counselor. You know, it's just a title they gave themselves to sound a little fancy. All right, but remember, they are assistants of counsel. If you read the rules of professional conduct, they are there to assist you in your legal endeavors and act in an attitude when defending you as if they were defending themselves, their very selves. But they don't. They don't. You would have to read the rules of professional conduct to understand it. Okay, all you got to do is Google it. It'll come up. Some people tell me the ABA comes up first because that's the model rules of professional conduct. Every state's supposed to have that. And they can add to it. They could give it strength. Make sure there's no such thing as legal loopholes, because there are no such thing as legal loopholes. So they're just loopholes put there intentionally by the legal system so they can subvert the law. No. Legal loophole is a term that's used to describe, well, under the color of law would describe it. Okay, it's no. Nobody leaves. It's like taking the doors off your house and the windows and going to and from, going on vacation and coming home and expecting nothing to be gone. No. That is not in the public interest. That's in the interest of the bar. Okay, see, so I mean, even there, they're violating rules. When I first read the rules of professional conduct in '79, the opening statement was, any violation of the rules of professional conduct is ineffective assistance of counsel. Effective assistance of counsel is guaranteed in the Sixth Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. So violation any or part of the rules of professional conduct is clearly ineffective assistance of counsel. And there's supposed to be zero tolerance on violating the rules and the codes. But you're going through what you're going through because they tolerate anything anybody does. Judges don't go by the law. They give their opinions, and that supposedly sets precedent. But if you're not going by the law itself, so that's why I teach you. I show you where to look up laws. If you ask a question, depending on where it is and what it is, I'll find it for you. Okay, I'll find the answers for you if I don't have them. But I just like doing what I do. And I've been warned many times, cut it out. And I'm sorry, I can't. In my younger days, going to the courts was kind of an adrenaline rush. Some people bungee jump, skydive, drive ridiculously fast cars at ridiculous speeds. And, it's for the adrenaline rush. Going in there, knowing somebody's going to get really mad. I've been cited for contempt of court, sitting in the court without saying a word to anybody because the public defender told on me that I was handing out the rules and the codes and talking to people about them. And these people are asking for probable cause hearings, Your Honor, because of him. They want a probable cause hearing. And judge getting mad, yelling about contempt of court. But see, the judge, if he would have called me, and I had to stand before him and make a statement, I would have told him he's in contempt of the very court he presides over from preventing me from disclosing conspiracy to deprive rights under the color of law. Him not citing the public defender or the state's attorney for violations of the rules in the code or for the rule of professional conduct, I says that leaves you in contempt of the very court you preside over. But they don't let me talk. That's what I would say. Not reporting, the judge not reporting your attorney or the state's attorney or the opposing party, whatever court you're in, the judge is in contempt of the very court they preside over. But see, you're just used to the way things work, or the way they work it. I'm just trying to teach you how it's supposed to work, okay? Back in '79, I went to prison for something I didn't do. A lot of people knew it, And when I got out of prison, the cops were expecting me to come and do some really scandalous stuff, I guess. They were watching me for a long time. I knew, but, there was nothing I was going to do. They thought I was going to light up the neighborhood. I didn't. They thought I was going to go after the guys that did the shooting. I didn't. Seriously, who's to blame? The guy that did the shooting? The people that blame me for the shooting? All the people that were out there, they didn't say, hey, he didn't do it. The cops said there was over 100 people out there, but they only brought a few that said it was me, 6 witnesses that said it was me. And when it came to court, one of them testified, they were all minors, that the adult told them who it was. But in the police report, it said the minors were outside and the adult was inside, so the adult couldn't have seen who did the shooting. they decided not to have the adult testify to being in the house because somebody already testified that that's who said the shooting. But either way, there was this thing, politics was pushing super predator. And at that time, Cook County was busy building all these new lockups. They had Division 1, then they built Division 2, and then 3, and then they went from 3 to 6. And the buildings were empty, and they needed to fill them. And so, and a lot of states were doing that, And so they needed to fill them. So they inflated, their crime statistics. The state's attorney has such a high rate because of the public defender, assisting them, denying people, not even telling people about a probable cause hearing, not asking for one, and not divulging, that they have a right to a quick and speedy trial. There's so many things, not divulging their legal obligations in a court of law. There's just so much that isn't done in the very beginning. See, so no matter what you're going through, no matter where you're at, all you have to do is go back to the very beginning. And that's what I'm teaching you. Everything that was supposed to happen in the beginning didn't happen. All the laws that were there to safeguard your life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness weren't applied at the very beginning, how it started, no matter what court you're in. So I talked to a guy, he says, well, what makes you such a legal expert in all these areas? See, I'm not an expert in all areas, I kind of jump around. But what makes me the expert in all these areas is I know a conspiracy to deprive right. I know a conspiracy against rights under the color of law when I see one, and all I have to do is know that somebody's in some court somewhere being deprived of their constitutional rights. They just don't know it. They just don't know it because as a country we're used to the system working the way it does, but that's not the way it's supposed to work. Okay, so we don't even, there's no need for new laws. We don't need Congress to say, hey, lawyers, do your job. We don't need lawyers saying, hey, Congress, do your job. What we need is each other to use the law to see to it that they all do their job. Okay, and that's in the oath. Nobody lives up to the oath. Read their oath. Lawyer, judge, fireman, policeman, DOJ, FBI, they were doing their best to maintain their oath. The DOJ and the FBI are supposed to be apolitical. They take no sides, and they're supposed to be there, when people are trying to deprive you constitutional rights under the color of law. And right now, they're being weaponized. And they're being defunded, underfunded. No, that's up to us. That's not up to the political system. Remember, that's part of the public trust, the DOJ and the FBI. They took an oath to serve and protect us. So they're supposed to be there out, looking for anybody, taking bribes, basically breaking the laws that I'm trying to teach you about. Okay, I'm saying a lot of silent parts out loud, that's all. And as far as me, there's no need to know who I am, because to me, you're the one that's important. My life is, I'm old, and I've been through pretty much, and I know my memory slips from time to time. And so I'm doing my best to get what's in my head and in my heart into your head, maybe one day in your heart. I just want you to be safe. Okay, and the only way you'll be safe is either you become a lawyer or stop by legal reform and Learn what you need to know. Remember, it's always been. It's always been that way, and you can change it. I got a whole lot of stuff to talk about, a whole lot of stuff to show you, And for the most part, I don't like putting my face out there. I mean, I'm out there, but I'm more about just showing you what you need to know. Get you to tell your story. And using the law. And like I said, when you use the conspiracy to deprive rights, I used to say it's conspiracy to deprive constitutional rights under the color of law. And when I found it in a book somewhere, it was conspiracy to deprive rights under the color of law, I think. But on the internet, it says a conspiracy against rights under the color of law. See, but when I first put it together in '79, I didn't read about, that. I just put it together that these people, the judges and the lawyers, didn't abide by the rules and the codes, and it clearly says that's ineffective assistance of counsel, and, none of that happened. And I said, they all worked together to deprive me of every, my life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. They did. And I've been on a mission ever since. But, it started when I was 10, when I first read the Declaration of Independence, and then the Constitution. And that's when it hit me, because I used to listen to Martin Luther King speeches and stuff. I love history. I watched documentaries, World War I, World War II, civil rights movement. I was growing up during that, and it's when I read the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, that I had an epiphany that Martin Luther King was, praying that one day these laws will exist, for everybody. I mean, according to the Constitution, this is your birthright as a U.S. citizen. But so many of us have been denied that, and so many don't realize anytime the rights are a right is taken away from one, it's taken away from all. All right. I was watching the news today, and I noticed that ladies are restarting the suffrage movement in some state or states. Some politicians are making it difficult for women to vote because their married name is on their voter registration. It's not on their birth certificate. So if their birth certificate doesn't match up to their license, they can't vote, and that'll take away the votes of so many women. No, that's not in the public interest. That's not in the public interest. Okay, remember, every law written must be in the public interest. So until they make it easier, and the woman that was complaining is because her husband left her, and she had, I think, 3 kids or something, and she was having a hard time making ends meet or something like that, and says, so it's bad enough what I vote for, who I vote for, they aren't doing what they said they're going to do, but that happens in all politics, In court, that's called corporate puffing. Okay, look that up. Corporate puffing. They made it legal for them to lie, which is that's ethics violations. That's an ethic violation. That's disinformation. Nobody, as far as lawyers and judges are allowed, it's illegal for them to spread any disinformation. But anyways, I'm just showing you. So hopefully I could, I don't get a whole lot of help on Facebook except for on my page, Legal Reform. People go there to find out what I know, and I've helped quite a few people. Some people even asked if I needed donations. No, I don't need that, okay? I don't need that. Just knowing you're doing better, you got out of what you got out of, most of the time I don't hear back from people, which is okay. It's okay. I don't do this for kudos. I don't do this for likes. I don't do this to be popular. I'm a Christian. A preacher man taught me when I was young, because the Bible scared me. When you read the Bible, put the 10 Commandments first. Always put it first, because basically the rest of the Bible is just somebody's interpretation of the 10 Commandments. Okay, so I'm showing you the laws, and you can see the simplicity behind the laws, in the wording. It's just that when you have somebody in the legal profession talk to you, they will complicate the hell out of it. Okay, and I've been told many times that I oversimplify the law. I don't. I just read it word for word to the letter. And if you've seen like this right here, I threw a few laws out there, and the people who pisses off are the ones that make a living through the law. And if hopefully before I pass, one day every politician, every lawyer, every judge, every public servant will live up to the oath. And if they don't, they go to jail like the law requires. Look up violating the oath, or consequences, punishments for violating the oath, and it'll tell you fines, removal from public service, and incarceration. But kind of sucks that I'm the one that's telling you, doesn't it? But if you read the preamble, the rule of professional conduct, they're the ones that's supposed to be telling you, okay, there's nothing but peace and love, all right? Remember, when it comes to your constitutional rights, when it comes to the Bill of Rights, your human rights, your birthrights, if you don't know what they are, you're never going to get them, and you got to get out there and demand them. And you need to take the law with you, okay? Like print it out, take it with you, because everybody plays stupid. Like, it's like walking into that movie, Idiocracy. You'll feel like you're talking to a bunch of morons, a bunch of idiots. They'll act like they don't know what you're talking about. They will. And then you're going to have to cite everything word for word to the letter. And remind them they're legally obligated to live up to it word for word to the letter. Bring the oath, too. Bring their oaths with a lawyer's oath, a judge's oath, Cop comes to testify, a cop's oath, come on, you see all those videos on YouTube? Cops get mad because people are questioning why they're being stopped, and next thing you know, they're in jail, and then that judge in Texas said, no, we're living up to the law, no, we're going to start with a probable cause hearing, as required in a court of law. God bless that man. He can't save everybody, but in his part of the world, anybody that crosses his path, and I guarantee you, he will lock a criminal up and max that sentence. He'll come at you just as hard as he did for that kid that got arrested for walking while black. No, see, that judge is living up to the law. And I guarantee you, if a rich person came through there and committed murder, shot somebody in the middle of Times Square, he wouldn't say, no, you're rich, you can go, I'll collect. No, he would literally, I don't know if there's a place like that, but you see how quick they built those gallows, on January 6th. Was there you get that at Hobby Lobby, Insta gallows? But anyways, you've seen how quick, people can set up a gallows, man. Just imagine if they figure out how long and how much, not just them, But their parents, their grandparents, their great-grandparents have been deprived of the rule of law, deprived of their life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, knowing the only reason they got us fighting with each other is so we wouldn't recognize what they were doing. People, listen, I had qualms with every public servant. Okay. And I hate to sound like a hypocrite, but we need the DOJ and the FBI where they've been, where they've always been. We just need them to live up to the oath. Okay? So when you confront them, remind them of their oath. And then remind them who you are. We the people. Lord and Master. So, take them off the pedestal, climb up there, recognize who you are. If there is a throne in this country, it's yours. Remember, your public servants took an oath to serve you. So by all means, next time somebody pulls you over, decides you for stopping while, or for walking while, whatever, or stopping you because you look suspicious, order me a double quarter pounder with cheese, large fries, and a chocolate shake. If there are enough people like me around, all you'd have to do is call them and say, hey, I need you to talk to this cop for me. Okay, I'm just going to put you on speakerphone. And I would remind them, first of all, of their oath and the penalties for defying the oath. And showing that, what they're doing is nothing but legal harassment. Any questioning, that's entrapment. The questions are just to get you to mix up your story. You have a right to remain silent, so use it. Don't let them try to confuse you with multiple questions that are on the same subject, and they'll say you lied, and that establishes probable cause, and no, that's nothing but legal harassment. And I've told a few that I will assert that claim in court, profoundly. As I'll walk in there, ask for a probable cause hearing, and have it dismissed the same day, and have the judge cite you for filing a false police report. And the only reason you did it, so I would have to get a lawyer and, spend money, I've had the last time a cop tried to arrest me for crossing the street. He said I was walking funny. Doctors wouldn't give me a prescription for a wheelchair, and I had to use canes, and then eventually one gave me one for forearm crutches, telling me to use crutches, but I couldn't because I had rotator cuff damage, and eventually it took a while to get both surgeries on both shoulders. I was near useless, and it wasn't until years later that I got my wrist fixed, carpal tunnels, and my knees, torn meniscus, and that was only because sued Social Security, won, got 10 years back pay, finally got my red, white, and blue card, and because I didn't need a referral having Medicare, I went straight to the specialist, and I didn't have to hear some PCP tell me I didn't need to see a specialist, and refusing to give me a referral, and constantly handing me prescriptions, multiple prescriptions. I never gave informed consent because I didn't know. I wasn't in the pill, but I didn't know. I didn't even think about it, about the addiction, because the longer you take them, the less effect that you have on it. You build up a tolerance, so you wind up taking them for extended a period of time, and that don't work anymore. And they say this is the highest dosage we'll give you, and then they'll put you on another medication, and then they can't give you anything that'll take the pain away, and then you wind up out on the streets looking for something stronger. I mean, seriously, they went after pharmaceutical companies. Now they're complaining about fentanyl coming from China, Asia, across the borders from Mexico and Canada. But see, that wouldn't be happening if so many people weren't allowed to get addicted. Because I've been there. So many doctors seen pharmaceutical salesmen come to and from, advertisements in the office, for pharmaceuticals, and so many doctors telling me, I don't need to see a specialist. All I need are these prescriptions. Stay at home, let the family take care of you. I don't have anybody. I don't know what to tell you. And that's it. But I kept fighting, and when I finally got the wheelchair, I couldn't walk anymore. My God, it was so painful. But after they fixed my wrists, I was able to use the wheelchair. I built up a lot of muscle, lost a couple of chins, a lot of weight shifted, and I grew some muscle. And plus, being on those prescriptions for so long, what they don't tell you, and I had doctors and even the pharmacists get upset with me because I question the ethics behind giving so many prescriptions, knowing that it causes a massive amount of unnecessary intestinal inflammation, which we know is constipation. It made it so I couldn't go maybe like 2 or 3 times a week. Made it so I couldn't eat. I blew up like a balloon, and I eat way more than I do now. I weigh almost 190 now. I got sick a couple months ago, and I lost almost 40 pounds, but I'm doing better now. And but I'm not gonna go for that addiction again because I thought I was gonna die. I literally laying on the floor a couple of times, bleeding, sweating, trying to go. My heart would hurt so much, because of the pain and just beating so fast. But I lost my insurance because I lost my job, because I got hurt at work, and that's why I needed all those operations. But anyways, I lost my insurance. I couldn't see a doctor, or I didn't get any more medications. I went through withdrawal, but after I survived that, I don't know, it was like the 3rd, 4th time. After I survived that, I was able to go to the bathroom again. And I went from only going maybe 2, 3 times a week. And when I started going 6, 10 times a day for a couple of weeks, and then back to, 3, 4 times a day. And, but in between that time, I seen a doctor and I questioned him about that. And he said that was normal. And I told him what I used to go through. He said that wasn't normal. So now I'm back to being normal. But see, as I told you in one of my other videos, informed consent is a legal mandate, not just for lawyers, but for doctors too. Doctors, lawyers. And I didn't have informed consent. Nobody gave me the reasonable knowledge to make an informed decision, to give informed consent so that I could die like Elvis. But I'm a lot better now, and plus being off all those medications, I think a lot better, And it wasn't too long after that I started legal reform. All right, what I do for me, I do for you. When I speak for you, I speak as if I'm speaking for my very own life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. I always have and always will. And if I was a lawyer, I would be required to do that by law. Read it. It's in the preambles of the rules of professional conduct. Nothing but love and respect for you. This is for my people, we the people. of the United States of America. I may not be a public servant. When I pledge allegiance to the flag, I pledged allegiance not to a man, not to a politician, not to a political party, and definitely not to Wall Street. I pledge allegiance to we the people. Forever, my brethren. As I told you before, the Constitution is the content of my character, which makes we the people the content of my heart. God bless you all.